Welcome back, guys. This is going to be the 19th part of our video tutorial series. So as I promised you in my last video tutorial, in this video tutorial I'm going to show you what we'll be working on. To our search feature, I have added a button called source product and a reset. So idea about reset hyperlink is basically, let's say you might have some search criteria. Based on that search, you might click this button here. Your result comes down here in the grid, and then maybe you would like to reset your search criteria. That is what we're going to use. Okay, these two, this is search button and this is the reset button. Very common practice in most of the search application, in a search web application. So let's look into the markup, source product markup here. As you know from our last video tutorial, this is all the input widget is inside this EJS file called source product partial, and this product is injected into this source product EJS file using the include syntax. Okay, so let me briefly show you the HTML markup. And right now, all our these are the main files that we'll be working on. That's why I keep these three of them open. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and close this one too. And only new code that I have added is this button right here. .html. Okay. So all this code, and well, of course, then I have added some other thing. This is the div container right here. I have a div and I give some style padding, so you start from the 30. It do some padding from the left, 30% of it, and I have a button here. And with this button, only feature that we really care about is this data entry click. On this, we have an event handler. We will have event handler in our controller called source product. And this is our hyperlink button, reset button right here, and it also will have an event handler or method called reset product search. Those two methods. Okay, that's the only new thing that I have added. And beside that, so now next thing we're going to do now, we're going to define our model. Okay, I'm going to go into my source product controller here, and I'm going to add my model. These are the code that, so I don't need this one for now. I'm going to go ahead and collapse this one too. And around here, I'm going to add my model into the scope. Let's go ahead and define some property. Let's give it a name as a search, as a JavaScript object literal. Since this one is the product, so in here I'm going to define a product as an object by itself. Okay, it's a product, not okay. So some of the properties of the product, by default we're going to set it to empty string. That's the name of the product. Product description, also set it to empty string. And we will have product category, and we will have the order by, parameter. Once we look into our markup, this value would be clear what they are referring to. Order by parameter and order by option. I'm going to name it as the product options. Some of the okay, this is our model defined here. Let's get rid of this blank space. Go ahead and save this file here. Okay, this is our model, and let's look into our view and model it together side by side. So I'm going to go into my view folder. In there we have partial view page called source product partial. This one here. and open to the side. Okay, I'm going to collapse this one here. The reason I'm showing these two pages side by side is because if we look it into our markup now, and most important property is data ng model, the search here, this referring to search object, and this object has a JavaScript literal object called product, and that's why product, and here is a name referring to that name. Okay, that is our model. Exactly the same pattern for description here, product description referring to product description in our controller. In product category for our drop down list right here, there is a select, and here is a data ng model with the product category. Okay, and this binding we have done so many times, so I'm not going to go over this one. And then next thing we have is this product type. So idea about this one is like, a product could be active. Admin user should be able to search by active product or without any filter, all product, inactive product, or active product. And the sort order is basically in ascending order or descending order. And this order by is basically all the all the column of the given table. That is the markup. And here is a product. Here is our search product order by. That's why, which corresponds to order by right here. And then here is another drop down list with the order by parameter that we saw already earlier, which refers to this property right here. And finally, this product option is, okay, this is a part of the product option right here. This is I have checked list of radio buttons right here, search, product option. These are like the same. So it was a little tricky because, like, it's a list of a radio button. Only one would be selected. So you're gonna give an ng model as the same name. So as you can see, all of these radio button. Radio button has the same ng model. And of course you're going to give a different value to it. I just named it as active product, inactive product, and all products or whatever. That is the first thing we have to do in our controller. And as you guess now, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to wire up event. Well, those event handler already exist into our page. If we look into our button right here, this search product, event handler already exists, but we need to now we have to include this event handler into our controller. That's the next thing we're going to do. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and collapse this one. We will be working exclusively right here in this space in the controller. So as you guess, we're going to be first event handler we're going to do is scope, and we'll have a method called search product. That's what it is. Callback function. Okay, in here we'll be doing something like this. We have a product service that is the injected service that we have used in our controller. Using that service, we're going to say we're going to define a method here called search products. Search products. This method would be defined into our service, and then into this we need to pass the product information because the user might be selecting name or description or the category. So we're going to pass scope search product. Whatever user select, whole domain object we're going to pass through the service, right? And then on this we're going to have success with the data in some sort of status. and then we will have a failure. We will handle both a success and failure. Error. On error, we'll have a function here, and for the function, let's say data or status, something like that. Okay, so now we have a method to take care of when if everything becomes successful or error, well, this callback function will be executed, right? So we can write here when it becomes successful, we're going to write some code here. If it's a failure, we'll be writing some code right here in this block. So ideally, like if it is successful, means we have a data coming in. So we basically need to bind the data coming in into our view. We have not defined our view, but so just for now, we can say something like scope. Let's define something called products as an array object. Okay, just initialize that one, and then here we can say some sort of basic validation. If this input data is there, data is defined, and data dot products is also defined, and then if there is a data, products dot data, oops, and this guy is array. Okay, that's what it means. If all those things are okay, we're basically going to bind into our scope dot products equals to data dot products. Okay, this is all we're going to do, and by default, before user enters a search button, we're not going to show any grid. So to do that, I'm going to define a property here. Well, the object into the scope, I'm going to define a property called show products, and set it to false in the beginning, not to show it. If this becomes successful, then I'm going to set it scope dot show products equals to true. Otherwise, when we have some error occur when the user clicks that button, we're going to set it to false. We don't want to show anything there. And then maybe just for now, just say error has occurred. Search cannot be done at this point, or whatever. Just whatever appropriate error message user. It all depends upon your requirement. Okay. This is all we do here. So at this point, if I run this one by saving, if I go ahead and save everything, I will have error because first of all, this search product method doesn't really exist in our service. So that's the very first thing we'll have to fix it. Okay, just to make sure, I saved all the files and do this one here. Oh, okay. Even before that, I have in my view, instead of this EJS, I have the HTML. I have to revert this file name. Okay, that becomes EJS file now. Go ahead and save this. If I refresh, okay, I can see this one, but if I click this button right here, I should have error, right? Like I told you before, this method called search product doesn't exist into product service. That's why we got that error. So next thing we're going to do, we can define this method into our service. Well, even before that, I would like to let's fix this guy called reset button. Let's write a method here so that our reset, that way we are done with our controller. We don't have to touch the controller anymore. We'll be working into our service, and then we'll go into our server side. Okay, let's finish that up. Let's give an event handler to this reset button also. Let's look it into our view. Okay, search product partial, and here is our hyperlink. And this one will have a, we have a method data entry click, but we have to of course put that into our controller. Let's go ahead and have that method into our controller. I'm going to come right here, and then I'm going to say scope and add that event handler. This should be pretty easy to do that. I'm going to say something like this. I'm going to say var product search, and in this is a scope, go into product object called search, and then it will have a property called product. So this, so we're gonna iterate over all the property of that object called product, because remember, like, this product has a bunch of properties right here. We're gonna do iteration of each of them. On each iteration, we can do something like if scope dot search dot product has one property of name product search. This piece of code is basically trying to avoid the inheritance chain, because we don't want to go into the parent scope. We're just gonna say if the property belongs to you, this guy right here. If it's your property, then we would like to set some values to it. That's what this code is doing. And then let me copy this one. It's like a lot of typing right here. This is my product, and then using this bracket syntax, I can say this is how I can set it. And the value I'm going to set is the resetting, just basically setting the domain into empty string. I think if everything is good and if I don't have any syntax error, I should have that functionality available. Let's test it. Okay, let's type something here, and then something right here in Crusade. Yay, awesome, that's working here. And descending, blah blah blah, and do a reset again. Awesome, see, everything is a reset. That piece of code works. That I think we are basically done with our controller. Now we will go into our service. Okay, when I say service, I'm referring to product service. That's where we're gonna go and stick a piece of code. Should be pretty easy. Okay, here we go. This is our product service right here, as you know from the previous video tutorial. Now I'm coming here and define a method called search products. It's a function, and then of course, as you can see, now we can refer to that object that we passed from controller as a product search. You can give whatever name you like, but product search object kind of makes sense. And then that. And of course, this is going to be post. We are posting this data to our server endpoint. Okay. So we will be doing something like that. Return. We'll be using the AngularJs HTTP service, and then we're using post here. We're going to define endpoint, and then all we're going to do is in here we're going to pass anything that comes out from the controller to the service. We'll do all the validation and stuff into service. I'll show you that later. And then let's see where we want to post it. Let's give some endpoint to it. Our pattern is something like API. I just want to follow the pattern and let's give it a name as a search products. Okay, that will work. And let's put it. Okay. Let's save this file here. And then now we have this method defined. If I run this one now, of course, we'll have nothing. but it will have error for sure. Search cannot be done. That's really cool. Remember, like the in our controller, uh, in our controller, if it's success, this callback function would be executed. Otherwise, when its error occurs, this piece of code would be executed. As you can see, this guy got executed, and we can see the message, which makes sense because even this error message saying there is a 404. Okay, because we haven't done any configuration, which is okay. That is the next thing we'll do. Okay. So let me just let it be. Okay, now we are done with the Angular side or JavaScript side, well, client side. Now most the rest of the code we will be strictly writing our code into server side, Node.js side. Okay, let me close all this, and then so let's open up some of the files from the server side. We need our route. Okay, first. So basically, grab one of the posts here. I'm gonna grab this one for now and do some modification here. As you know by now, so all we have to do, this request type also going to be post, but instead of create product, we have decided to use something called search products. Search products, okay, and the callback function. The search product, in terms of data access object, it is going to be more complex than basic Crud that we use in a product DAO. Because of that reason, what I have decided to do is I would like to have a separate file for the search feature, search DAO. So instead of using project DAO, I'm going to use JavaScript file that I have already coded. I have a file called product search DAO. Okay, this is the one product search DAO. This is the one we need to require this one, and let's change the name as a oops. This should be product search DAO. Search DAO, and I think I named it as a product search DAO like that, and name the same variable. And I have a method called search product, which makes sense, everything search products, and I pass the whole body that is the Express provided by the Express framework, which basically referring to all the data that we are posting from the AngularJS. And of course here I'm going to say, instead of status, I'm going to say something like, because it's going to return data, so I'm going to say a products here, and then I'm going to return JSON data. The data I'm going to return will be pretty simple like that, and I'm going to say products. So basically that products, that was this callback function. You remember, like when this method basically, but it will invoke that method. This callback function would be invoked by this method invocation, and then this would be set it right here. That's what we're going to return to our to the client. Okay, let's go ahead and save it. This search products is going to be really a little involved. I will try to explain, because writing this one in the fly would really gonna take a long time. That's why I wrote ahead of time, but I will explain to you. Hopefully you guys would understand this one. Okay, so like I said, I just basically added product search DAO here. This is going to be our DAO object. It's not that bad, but it has some code that we have to understand. Even before that, let me see, if I run this code right now, we should have the 500. The web page is not available. Something Okay, we have unexpected token. Oh, okay. So we have this. So we already have issue, because like I have the syntax error into my configuration page. Let's go ahead and fix this one. This is what it is complaining about. I have 2 curly braces instead of 1. So that's an easy fix. And let's give it a try. Okay, now what's the problem? Okay. So let's go ahead and kill the session here. Okay, let's. Come on, don't give me a hard time when I'm doing live. So let's start the server. Okay, looks like it's gonna work. And let's refresh this page. Alright. Okay, looks like there's no error and everything. Okay, so now let's go ahead into our product search DAO. This is the new method, new DAO class that I had to add. So in terms of inside this product search DAO JavaScript literal object, I just have one method called search product. And as you can see in line number 14, it takes 2 parameters. This is all the criteria of the search. So basically, name, the description, that whatever, using whatever criteria that admin user would like to search the product. All depends upon your requirement, and the callback function, 2 pieces of data. And then this is the same query that I used to when I was writing the feature for view product. The reason I'm using exactly the same, that way I can use the existing markup and existing binding. You will see what I mean. Like, all you have to do is I'm gonna use that, and it's just gonna work. Okay, very first thing, I have a bunch of JavaScript declaration right here. Main select query. Basically, it fetches data, needed data from product, and does the inner join to a product category. And I want to collect all the data. That's why I have a bunch of some array declaration here. And the reason I define this variable query select statement right here, because I want to push all the select into the array, because based on certain condition. So very first thing I do right here, I want to know whether name is defined. It's not null or empty. To do that, I define a little helper method here. So basically, I pass the value. If it's undefined or null or something, it's null or empty. And then that's why I'm saying if it is not null or empty, means the name has some values in it. That's what I want. So if it has some values, basically what I'm doing here is, this is my array, query parameter values. Into it, I'm pushing an object. And on the fly, I'm defining some object to some property into this JavaScript literal object that I have passed to the function, passed to the array here. It will have a name. That's property name I'm just defining. An alias name. The reason I have to do something like this, because here's a P refers to product, and the name is the column of that product, and I'm using just a like, so that I can use, if user enter S or T or whatever, I can display those products. Okay. And then the value of this one would be whatever value of the name is, and followed by this is how we use it, MySQL like syntax. And the search type is a wildcard. You will see the reason why it is, because most of this property would be a wildcard search, like the same idea for description here. If the description text exists, so basically push the data into the parameter value array. as the name of the property, product description, alias name, description, like, and the value with this, and also a wildcard search. And this one right here, if the product category is selected by the user, then put this value into my array with the name going to be this product category, and this alias would be the ID, where it's the product category ID, and this can be the value. And the search type, this is equal. We're doing equal comparison, not the like before. And this one right here is the remember, like, product option in our markup here. You can select by active product, inactive product, all product. To take care of that, I needed that block of code here. If this property is defined into this object and the value contained currently is not that, so then basically the name, this is my property name, and the alias would be is active. I want to know whether the product is active or inactive, and the value would be, I have this little tertiary operator code right here. If it's the product option is active product, then user basically want to see all the active product in our system. Otherwise, inactive product. Otherwise, there is no filter. Okay, once all those filter criteria is done, then I have this little piece of code. So what this piece of code is doing here is I have an array, and here is a length if there is a source criteria, right? That's what it's saying. If there is a source criteria, that means like when I write the query, I need to have the where clause. That's why I have push where right here. And then basically I'm iterating, I'm doing for each into this array. On each iteration, I have this callback function. So basically this is just one array, one value of this array object. So that I'm pushing this alias name into my query string fragment, and after that, this is my first parameter value, I mean the first alias name, and this is like after that, there could be multiple of them. That's why I have end clause. And remember the search type. Search type could be, just for now, it could be extended very nicely. Just for now, in my example, I have equal search or the wildcard search. If it's an equal search, it's pretty easy. Whatever this object contains, assigned to this local variable value. And if it's a wildcard, the way we have to do is whatever the value is followed by this wildcard character. And then remember, like in the beginning, I had defined a couple of array objects here, like query state fragment and query parameter values. I'm collecting values and the where clause into an array. And once I come out here, I push the value into a different array, and then this line number 110 is very important because remember, like I have end right here. If this iteration, like I have three criteria, I have this end is hanging out there. That might cause the syntax error to MySQL when the query gets sent out to the SQL server, like this end. That's why this is I have once I come out from the loop, and this is what I had to do. I had to pop the element. So basically when I do a pop, the last element would be taken out from the array. That's why I had to do a pop right here. And after that, once that is all done, this is my array which contains token of my query. And then basically all I have to do is call the join method, join into this blank space here character. That is all. At this point, my query is nicely formatted, well, nicely made, ready to be executed with all the where condition set. Okay, that's all I have to do. And then last thing in this here, I have to say order by parameter. If the user also selected this one right here, order by any of those, then I have to say if order by parameter also exists, then I have order by clause here in the value, order by which column. And then, as you know, the remaining would be pretty easy. Starting with line number 121, I just, always, I need to have the MySQL connection, which is given by this method, and having connection, I call the query method in it, and pass the query, all query right here, and then here, this little tertiary operator would be useful, because sometimes, user just do a blind search, there is no where clauses. To take care of that, I said, okay, check whether that array has some data in it. If it does, then you know what? Basically, he's doing the where clause search. I mean, like he has at least some conditions here. Otherwise, just pass null to this parameter. And here is our callback function. If it's error, handle it. Otherwise, call the callback function that user provided. So to the callback function, I'm going to pass the rows, which is basically all the results set returned by the MySQL database. And finally, close MySQL connection. I know it is a little involved than the others, but not that bad. Okay. Now, once that is all done, now how are we going to use it? Okay, just using would be pretty easy. Now let's go into our markup here. When I say markup, I'm referring to my view. Here is a view product. Not view product, sorry. Yeah. Okay. From there, I'm gonna grab this piece of code here, because what this guy is doing is basically loading the grid of product information. I need this one. I'm gonna grab this one. That's what I was referring to. It's a very reusable component. I don't have to write that piece of logic again, because I would like to share. That's why when I wrote this feature, I made this into a partial view so that I can use into other pages also. I'm going to grab this one from here, and then I'm going to go into search product right here, and then after 2-line break in line number 16, I'm just going to do this, but I'm going to wrap this one into div. I will tell you why I'm wrapping this into div. Okay, and then here I'm going to use Angular data ng show. And if you remember that when in the beginning, right here in our JavaScript right here, a source product controller, I defined a little object here. So products, and remember this property right here, I set it to false. I'm going to give that to this guy right here. So basically all I'm doing is I'm using AngularJS directive called data ng-show. Well, ng-show, the data is a part of HTML5, okay guys? And then I'm setting that property. If that property is true, then I would like to show this markup here. Otherwise, don't show it. I think just by doing this, if there is no problem in our syntax, my search now should start working. But it's a lot of code, but let's see, give it a try. Awesome! It's not working, guys. Okay, let me collapse it now. See right here when I do a search product, because I don't have any filter right now, because it did the whole search as if it select everything from product blah blah blah, so that's why I have all the data now. And the other thing, let's see one at a time. We're going to see order by. Let's do our order by product category. See, it is started changing. And we can do a search by product cost. It's working. Product name, that works, and description, all of these works. And let's see, now we want to see a product starting with maybe some. I choose this one because here I see some here, name of the product. Do a search, and search to return two results, starting with some right here, some programming books and some books. And maybe if I search by description called AWE, I should have only one result coming out. Awesome. And then if I do further category, unless that category is nothing, no results would come out. And of course now, you know, as I told you before, I should be able to reset. If I reset, everything comes out as a blank page, and I can do a search by different categories. Children's shoes. There is one children's shoes category, and awesome product category. Okay, there is a bug in some of the, I think currently there might be some bug into the category search, and then sorting is not working. Okay, sorting, and there is some issue with the active products. Anyway guys, that is all I wanted to share in this video tutorial. I hope you guys had some better understanding. Anyway, thank you so much for watching my videos, and we'll continue more videos for you guys. Thank you so much.